It's 10:28 p.m. on Sunday evening, August 3rd, 2008. Nearly 6,000 people in the Val-de-Sambre region of northern France are about to experience something that has not happened in their country for 26 years. In the next 14 minutes, entire neighborhoods will cease to exist. 4 people will die, despite being in their homes. This is the story of August 3rd, 2008. The day an EF4 tornado, with winds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour, reminded France that violent tornadoes are not just an American phenomenon. The morning of August 3rd dawns humid and oppressive in Nord, France. It is unusually warm for Northern Europe, 24 degrees Celsius, with humidity that makes the air feel thick and heavy. In the town of Hautmont, 32-year-old Stefan Wilmot is hosting a backyard barbecue with family. The afternoon feels strange. The clouds are red-orange. The atmosphere is heavy, oppressive. Nobody knows that in 12 hours, everything will change. Across the region, meteorologists at Meteo France are monitoring a frontal system stretching from the Atlantic Ocean across the British Isles to Scandinavia. Nothing about the day looks particularly threatening. The atmospheric energy available for storms, what meteorologists call CAPE, is only 100 joules per kilogram. That is extraordinarily low. Violent tornadoes typically require over 2,000. The official forecast calls for thunderstorms, nothing more. A yellow vigilance alert, the lowest warning level. No mention of tornadoes. After all, this is France. Tornadoes like the ones in America do not happen here. Or so everyone believes. But there is something the computer models cannot fully capture. Something invisible in the numbers. While the energy is low, the wind shear in the lower atmosphere is extreme. Surface winds blow from the south by southwest. 1,000 meters up, powerful westerlies race across the sky. The atmosphere is rotating. And by evening, that rotation will become visible in the most terrifying way possible. By 6 o'clock that evening, strong showers develop over the towns of Beauvais and Maubeuge. As the sun sets, the sky takes on an eerie quality. Those who look to the southwest see continuous lightning, approximately 1 flash per second, illuminating massive clouds with an apocalyptic orange-red glow. But there is no thunder. The disconnect is unsettling. The air feels electric, charged with something undefined. At 9 o'clock, Stefan Wilmot and his family pack their car for vacation. They leave Hautmont at 9:30. 90 minutes later, the tornado will strike. They do not know it, but their decision to leave early will save their lives. By 10 o'clock, a small-scale depression forms along a cold front over the region. The atmospheric lid that has been suppressing storm development suddenly lifts. Storm cells explode upward. Lightning intensifies. Power begins failing in scattered locations. Televisions go dark. Then comes the sound. A distant rotor noise. Like a freight train. Like a jet engine. Growing rapidly louder. At 10:28 in the evening, the tornado touches down in a field near Pont-sur-Sambre. The funnel is initially narrow, perhaps 100 meters wide, rated F1 intensity. But within 2 kilometers, something changes. The tornado rapidly intensifies. By the time it reaches the village of Boussières-sur-Sambre, at 10:31 in the evening, it has intensified to EF4 strength, maximum intensity, with winds exceeding 330 kilometers per hour. A rural brick home, recently constructed to modern building codes, is completely leveled, not damaged. Leveled. The house is razed entirely to its foundation. Only scattered bricks and debris remain on the concrete slab. This is the power of an EF4 tornado. This is what northern France has not seen in a generation. The tornado plows into Bois du Fay between 10:31 and 10:35 in the evening. Approximately 30 hectares of mature forest are utterly annihilated in 4 minutes. Trees are not simply knocked down. They are debarked by projectiles moving at extraordinary speeds. They are snapped like toothpicks, uprooted with root balls 3 to 4 meters across. Some are transported whole over distances exceeding 150 meters. Within 150 meters of the tornado's core, complete destruction occurs. The continuous EF4 damage path will extend for 2.5 kilometers. One of the longest violent intensity paths in modern European history. Between 10:32 and 10:36 in the evening, the tornado strikes Hautmont at peak intensity. The funnel expands to approximately 500 meters wide. It carves through the Cité Saint-Marcel entrance, through the Gratières neighborhood, and most catastrophically through the Cité Exotique, a working-class residential area that will be left looking like a war zone. Along Rue Fernand Roussel, facing the municipal stadium, multiple homes are completely destroyed. Vehicles are lifted and thrown 50 to 100 meters from their original positions. Several individuals are reported lifted into the air by the vortex itself. The sound, variously described as a roar, a terrible noise, is followed by something witnesses will never forget. Suddenly, nothing. An eerie, heavy silence. Then a constant moan or groan as the tornado's circulation continues eastward. There is continuous lightning to the east, but still no thunder. Very disturbing. In a home in Hautmont, Huguet and Michel Fichot attempt to take shelter in their basement as the tornado bears down. The structure collapses upon them. Their bodies will be pulled from the rubble the following morning. Roger Edange becomes the third direct fatality. His death, like the Fichot couples, comes despite being indoors, despite taking shelter. The tornado is simply too powerful. EF4 winds do not discriminate. They destroy everything. The tornado continues through Neuf-Mesnil between 10:36 p.m. and 10:38 p.m., then traverses Maubeuge from 10:38 p.m. to 10:40 p.m. In Maubeuge, the tornado reaches its maximum width, approximately 1,100 meters, when including peripheral suction vortices. The church spire in Sous-le-Bois is torn completely off. The roof of the Centre Hospitalier de Maubeuge is ripped away, exposing patients to the elements. The Lycée André Lorcat area sustains major damage. Finally, weakening as it moves through Assevent and Boussois, the tornado dissipates at approximately 10:42 p.m. at the entrance to Marpin, 14 minutes after touchdown. 18.7 kilometers of destruction across 7 communes. 700 buildings damaged or destroyed. 800 to 1,000 homes affected. 180 homes in Hautmont alone rendered completely uninhabitable. 4 people dead, 18 injured, and a community that will never be the same. At 1 in the morning, Stephanie Wilmot receives a phone call. Someone tells him there has been an earthquake in Hautmont. An earthquake. He and his family turn around, driving through the night. They arrive at dawn. What Stephanie sees will haunt him for the rest of his life. A petrified, apocalyptic landscape in the Cité Exotique neighborhood. Little by little, everyone realizes what happened. Some families lost everything. He encounters sad people, violent people, people searching for their photo albums in the middle of fields. It is terrifying. Years later, Stephanie will struggle to describe the silence. The heavy silence after the tornado passed. The most difficult passage lasted at most a good minute, with strong gusts afterwards. Once there, everything happens and you go into reflex mode. You help as you can. But the silence, that is what really marked us. That heavy silence. Joel Wilmot, Stephen's father and Hautmont's mayor, is on vacation in the United States when the tornado strikes. He starts receiving messages. Many messages. He decides to return very quickly. He does not have all the information, but he knows it is serious and brutal. When he arrives, the scale becomes clear. 20% of the 6,500 homes in the commune were affected. cars piled on top of each other, immense trees uprooted and completely twisted, bricks from houses propelled into other homes. It is terrifying to see. Over 200 firefighters conduct search and rescue operations through the night, working in darkness, punctuated by emergency lighting and the constant threat of structural collapse. The college Ronsard transforms into an emergency nerve center, emergency shelter for displaced residents, psychological support cell, logistics hub. On August 4th, Interior Minister Michelle Alliot-Marie visited Hautmont. She described scenes rarely seen outside war situations, saying it looked as if bombs had fallen. She announced 300,000 euros in emergency aid, 150 euros per adult, and 75 euros per child. For more than 1,000 affected households, this amount was woefully inadequate. The official catastrophe naturelle declaration did not come until August 26th, 23 days later. Mayor Joel Wilmot and others criticized the delay as unconscionably slow. Without the declaration, insurance companies refused to pay. Families who lost everything waited in bureaucratic limbo. But something remarkable began to happen. Within days, volunteers materialized. 600 spontaneous volunteers arrived the day after the tornado, helping with distributions, rehousing efforts, and emotional support. Across France, 30,000 donation checks arrived. 2.7 million euros were distributed to affected families. Supermarkets opened at dawn to feed victims. Lawyers provided free insurance claim assistance. Business owners brought equipment to clear debris. French comedian Danny Boone, star of Bienvenue chez les Ch'tis, became spokesperson for the Association Solidarité Avesnois. A charity football match between RC Lens and Valenciennes raised 150,000 euros. The wave of solidarity was overwhelming. In tragedy, the community discovered something about itself, about France, about the human capacity for compassion. By late August, 50 mobile homes arrived, representing 3 million euros worth of temporary housing. Families received these structures before the September school year began, allowing children some semblance of normalcy. The mobile homes were placed on residents' own land when possible, enabling families to guard their property and begin the psychological process of rebuilding. Ocean was 7 years old when the tornado struck. 10 years later, at age 17, she provides testimony that captures the enduring psychological impact. At 17, she says she is afraid there will be another tornado every time there is a storm. Her words represent countless others who experienced the event as children and carried that trauma into adulthood. Aude Wilmot, who coordinates psychological support efforts, witnessed the immediate trauma. She says they received children, many children. They were not speaking anymore. They were in shock. It is certain that today they can be afraid of the slightest storm. Approximately 250 children require psychological follow-up. Many adults continue to process the trauma years later. The reconstruction takes years. Full recovery takes longer. The reconstruction of major infrastructure, like the Stade Jean Damien, does not even begin until October 2023, 15 years after the tornado. The €9 million project includes a new tribune with a roof, an athletics track, multi-sport halls, and a festival esplanade. The Centre Culturel d'Hautmont, serving the community for over 80 years, undergoes major renovation from October 2023 to January 2025. A memorial stele stands at Espace du Souvenir along Rue Fernand Roussel in the Cité Exotique neighborhood, the area of maximum devastation. The monument honors the 4 victims: Roger Adange, Huguette Fichot, Michel Fichot, and Yvette Legrand. The morning after the tornado, unable to process the catastrophe, Yvette Legrand took her own life. Annual commemorations occur each August 3rd. Wreath-laying ceremonies, speeches by municipal officials, moments of silence, and community gatherings ensure the event remains in collective memory. But here is what makes the Hautmont tornado scientifically extraordinary. This tornado formed in an environment with only 100 joules per kilogram of CAPE. Violent tornadoes typically require over 2,000 joules per kilogram. Most documented low CAPE tornadoes produce F0 to F2 intensity at most. The Hautmont event represented a near-unique case where extreme wind shear compensated for minimal instability. The tornado became the subject of intensive scientific study, culminating in a 2011 publication in the journal Atmospheric Research. The event provided crucial data for development of the European Enhanced Fujita scale. France experiences approximately 15 to 50 tornadoes annually. Only 14 EF4 tornadoes have been documented in France's recorded history. The Hautmont tornado was the first EF4 in France since June 2nd, 1982, 26 years earlier, when the Levier tornado in Dubs injured 8 but killed no one. Prior to Hautmont, the most recent deadly tornado was June 24th, 1967, 41 years earlier, when the Paluel tornado in Pas-de-Calais killed 6 people. France has recorded only 2 EF5 tornadoes in history. The August 19th, 1845. Montville tornado killed 70 to 75 people, France's deadliest tornado ever. The other was the 1967 Paluel event. The Hautmont tornado ranks among the top 20 most violent European tornadoes since 1800. Europe as a whole experiences 300 to 500 tornadoes annually, approximately 25 to 40% of the United States average of 1,200 tornadoes per year. But here is the key difference. Europe produces violent EF4 and above tornadoes far less frequently than the United States. The geography matters. The United States benefits from the Gulf of Mexico providing abundant moisture, the Rocky Mountains running north-south allowing unobstructed collision of Canadian cold air with Gulf warmth, and the Great Plains providing vast flat terrain. Europe's Alps act as an east-west barrier. The Mediterranean Sea is smaller. Complex topography disrupts tornado formation. But when conditions do align for tornado formation in Europe, storms can produce violence comparable to American events, as Hautmont brutally demonstrated. And here is what should concern everyone. The inadequacy of France's tornado warning capability was starkly exposed on August 3, 2008. Meteo France issued only yellow vigilance for thunderstorms, the lowest alert level. No tornado-specific warning was issued. A 2009 European study revealed that only 7 of 39 European weather services had tornado warning procedures. France was not among them. The French public perception held that tornadoes were either non-existent or mini tornadoes compared to American events. Hautmont shattered that misconception with deadly consequences. As of 2025, 17 years later, France still lacks dedicated tornado warning systems comparable to those in the United States and Canada. Technology exists to detect tornado formation 15 minutes in advance using Doppler radar networks. France has not deployed such systems despite the Nord-Pas-de-Calais region's elevated risk. Mayor Stéphane Wilmot has become an advocate for improved warning systems. He has said that we have the technology. His concern extends beyond Hautmont. What if a tornado hits Lille, Valenciennes, or Dunkirk, larger cities where casualties could number in the hundreds? Today, 17 years later, if you drive through Hautmont, you might not even know a tornado hit, unless you know where to look. The trees are younger on the south side of town, saplings planted after the tornado, now growing tall. The houses are newer, more modern, but there are reminders. The memorial stele, the rebuilt stadium, the renovated cultural center, and the people. Current residents report that even 17 years later, orange or red clouds trigger visceral fear responses. Children who experience the tornado as young as 7 carry lasting anxiety into adulthood. The landscape itself retains subtle scars, cleared forest areas, and rebuilt neighborhoods with slightly different character. Infrastructure that looks just a bit newer remains visible. Stéphane Wilmot reflects on what the community learned. Even today, people tell me when we see an orange or red cloud, we are afraid. I understand them. We are marked for life. He reveals that he himself broke down. I took time to sit for 5 minutes, and I cried a lot, because such a catastrophe marks you forever. But there is something else the community learned. Something about resilience, about solidarity, about human capacity to rebuild not just structures, but lives and a sense of security. The community transformed its trauma into action. When the town of Bihucourt in Pas-de-Calais experienced its own significant tornado in 2022, Hautmont extended solidarity, a passing of knowledge from one traumatized community to another. The annual commemorations serve multiple purposes: honoring the 4 victims, acknowledging survivors' ongoing struggles, maintaining collective memory, and advocating for better preparedness. The memorial at Espace du Souvenir provides a focal point for grief and remembrance. Then the community returns to daily life, carrying the knowledge that while they have rebuilt, they can never return to the innocence of August 2nd, 2008. The last day they believed tornadoes were something that happened elsewhere, to other people. The Hautmont tornado stands as one of the most violent and deadly natural disasters in modern French history. It killed 4 people. It injured 18. It destroyed or damaged 700 buildings. It displaced nearly 1,000 residents. It caused tens of millions of euros in damage. But beyond statistics, it represents a community encounter with nature's most violent atmospheric phenomenon. It reveals the inadequacy of warning systems that should have protected them. It demonstrates the resilience required to rebuild not just structures, but lives and a sense of security. It shows what happens when a violent tornado strikes a population that does not believe violent tornadoes are possible. The surprise, the unpreparedness, the devastating human cost. The August 3rd, 2008 tornado revealed what researchers and meteorologists already knew, but the public and policymakers had not fully appreciated. Violent tornadoes are not exclusively an American phenomenon. When atmospheric conditions align, even in non-traditional parameters like low CAPE, European geography can produce killers. The question is whether France will implement the warning infrastructure to provide its citizens the precious minutes that can mean the difference between life and death when the next violent tornado forms. Because there will be a next time. The atmospheric conditions that created Hautmont can occur again. The only question is when, and whether this time people will have warning. 17 years later, Hautmont carries on, marked for life, but unbowed. The rebuilt neighborhoods stand as testament to human resilience. The memorial honors those who did not survive, and the survivors carry forward, watching the skies a little more carefully, knowing what those red-orange clouds can mean, knowing that 14 minutes is all it takes for everything to change, knowing that silence after the storm, that heavy, oppressive silence, is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of rebuilding, of remembering, of ensuring that next time, if there is a next time, things will be different. The wind still blows through Hautmont, France. It always has. It always will. But now, the people know something they did not know before August 3rd, 2008. They know they are stronger than the wind.